Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. It seems that the mask mandate has returned in China as the epidemic shows no sign of going away. Also, has the CCP abandoned its plan to attack Taiwan? Today, let's talk about these two issues. First, some updates on the current epidemic situation in China. China's National Health Commission issued a guideline on wearing masks on December 8th. The guideline states that individuals infected with respiratory diseases such as COVID-19, influenza, mycoplasma, pneumonia, and respiratory syncytial virus should wear masks when visiting indoor public places or having close contact with others. It also mentions wearing masks during fever, coughing, and other symptoms, as well as during high incidence periods of respiratory diseases when visiting medical institutions, nursing homes, social welfare institutions, and other vulnerable groups. This means that the Chinese authorities are demanding the public to wear masks again. Please note that in the notification, COVID-19 is listed first. This means that the Chinese National Health Commission indirectly acknowledged that the primary cause of this outbreak is COVID-19 rather than influenza, mycoplasma, pneumonia, or other diseases as previously claimed. When I first reported on this outbreak on November 22nd, I mentioned that it was likely still a COVID-19 outbreak. However, for the sake of Xi Jinping's face, it could not be called a COVID-19 outbreak, as the CCP had already declared victory over the disease. It had also implemented strict lockdowns for 3 years. If COVID-19 returned and they don't impose lockdowns again, it would be difficult to justify the lockdowns before. Therefore, the best option was not to mention that it is a COVID-19 outbreak. After all, what the CCP does best is to cover up the truth. Judging from the severity of the outbreak, it seems that the situation has not improved. For example, since October, the pediatric emergency department of the Pearl River Hospital in Guangzhou has seen more than twice the usual number of patients, with a peak of nearly 1,300 patients per day, significantly more than the usual 800 plus during peak periods in previous years. In addition, a 68-year-old man in Hangzhou City developed a fever for 3 days and was diagnosed with white lung, a severe form of pneumonia. He was admitted to the ICU and narrowly escaped death. Furthermore, many regions have started requiring vaccinations. For example, on December 6, a taxi company in Xi'an City, Shanxi Province, announced that all drivers must be vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. The Xi'an Evening News recently reported that a new COVID-19 vaccine containing the XBB variant antigen has been distributed to various regions in Shanxi province, and the relevant departments recommend that elderly people and other high-risk groups get vaccinated as soon as possible. Yesterday, that's December 11th, China Central Television reported that Beijing has also started vaccinating elderly people and other high-risk groups with the new COVID-19 vaccine containing the XBB variant antigen. What is a high-risk group? It refers to people aged 60 and above, those with severe underlying diseases, and those with weakened immune systems. The notification requires that even if these people have received 2 or more doses of the vaccine or have been infected with the virus, they can still receive the XBB vaccine at this stage. So far, China has launched up to 15 different vaccines, many of which have been urgently approved. The quality of these hastily developed vaccines is also a concern. Another piece of news went viral on Chinese social media yesterday. The famous Hong Kong actress Kathy Zhou Hoi-mei, just 57 years old, was reported to have passed away suddenly. Her studio confirmed her death today. She was well known for her role as the female lead in a popular Chinese martial arts TV drama. Yesterday, on the day of her death, a video from 2 years ago in which she promoted getting vaccinated went viral. In this video, she encouraged the public to get vaccinated and expressed her happiness at being able to get vaccinated as a Hong Kong compatriot. He received her vaccination in Beijing as she had moved from Hong Kong to mainland China in 2003. In this video, she also praised the CCP's pandemic prevention efforts. It is said that she died of lupus, and when she was taken to the hospital, she was already dead. Netizens are going wild on the internet sharing her vaccination video. Some are questioning whether she, as a lupus patient, was suitable for vaccination, while others are lamenting whether her support for the CCP harmed her. Many are sharing a famous saying that goes, quote, "Believing in the CCP gets you a fast-track ticket to the crematorium," unquote. You know, only 3 days ago, Kathy Zhou was still updating her social media account, so her sudden death was very difficult for her fans to accept. On the day of her death, the most widely shared item on social media was not her film or TV work, but rather her vaccination promotion video. This is quite sad and thought-provoking too. Well, that's all for the updates on this round of outbreak. Next, let's talk about whether the CCP has truly abandoned its plans to attack Taiwan. During Xi Jinping's recent meeting with US President Joe Biden, Xi claimed that he had never heard of plans to attack Taiwan in 2027 or 2035 and that the Western world had misunderstood him. However, is that really the case? Former Chinese Naval Colonel Yao Chen said on X platform that Xi's statement was a form of military deception to win time for war preparations, and this has indeed deceived many people. Some believe that Xi cannot command the People's Liberation Army, that there is intense infighting with the CCP, and that the economy is declining, making an attack on Taiwan impossible, etc. Yao Chen said that all of these are just illusions and misconceptions. Looking at the CCP's military preparations, not only has the construction of aircraft carriers, submarines, destroyers, and aircraft not stopped, but it has also increased in scale. Military training has not relaxed either, and preparations for war are being made day and night. Regarding the timing of attack on Taiwan, the CCP is currently waiting for the results of Taiwan's election. Yao Chen believes that if the Democratic Progressive Party is re-elected, the CCP will surely attack before 2027. If the Kuomintang is elected, the CCP will resolve the issue in peaceful ways, but complete annexation will not be delayed beyond 2035. Yao Chen added that the CCP's plan to attack Taiwan was already laid out in 2019, and the plan was to occupy the two ends of Taiwan first, namely Taipei at the north end and Kaohsiung at the south end of the island. The assembly base for landing in Taipei is located on Pintan Island in Fujian Province, which is only 80 miles or 130 kilometers from Taiwan in a straight line. The assembly base for landing in Kaohsiung is Dongshan Island in Fujian Province, which is also 80 miles or 130 kilometers from Taiwan in a straight line. Yao Chen said that the two assembly bases for the group armies to land in Taipei and Kaohsiung have been delivered for use, and the PLA has organized large-scale exercises there many times. In addition, 39 of the 42 airports on the front line have been put into use, except for the 3 that are still under expansion. Therefore, Yao Chen believes that the CCP has been preparing for an attack on Taiwan in various ways, so it will not easily give up. Yao Chen mentioned these preparations, which are only military. From other aspects, various preparations are also advancing, such as the national war mobilization preparation, the establishment of a supply and marketing system for unified procurement and unified sales, the establishment of the People's Armed Forces Department in large state-owned enterprises, etc. We have reported on this many times before. There have been several war-related news recently that should be taken seriously. The first piece of news is a senior Chinese military officer said in a recent interview with Kyodo News that Beijing did not want a war over Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea, but it was also not fearful of armed conflict either. Lieutenant General He Lei, a former vice president of the People's Liberation Army Academy of Military Sciences, also indicated that the possibility that China would target the Senkakus as well if it attempted to capture Taiwan through the use of force. As a matter of fact, more than a year ago, I reported the CCP's attack on Taiwan might start with the Senkaku Islands. In that episode, I provided a detailed explanation of the CCP's strategy of instigating conflicts in the Senkaku Islands, capitalizing on nationalist and anti-Japanese sentiments, and collaborating with Taiwan's Kuomintang to accomplish the takeover of Taiwan. This takeover does not necessarily involve the use of force. The most effective approach would be through internal infiltration. Another piece of news is that the Taiwan authorities have cracked the largest espionage network of the National Army in the past decades and charged 10 active and retired military personnel, among them a certain Xie, a Lieutenant Colonel in the Aviation Special Forces, originally planned to defect to the CCP military aircraft carrier by helicopter in exchange for $15 million and a permanent residency in Thailand. Another lieutenant colonel named He in the Taiwan Ministry of National Defense leaked the highly confidential national defense military talks and a solid state plan to the CCP's intelligence units. This news confirms my report from last year that the CCP is using large amounts of money to infiltrate Taiwan, including the Taiwanese military. If enough personnel in important positions in the military are bought off, they may raise the white flag from within, colluding with the CCP and betraying Taiwan. The third piece of news is that the CCP's aircraft carrier Shandong and its carrier group passed through the Taiwan Strait yesterday. That's December 11th. On December 10th, the CCP dispatched 10 aircraft and 11 ships to conduct activities around the Taiwan Strait. The fourth piece of news is that the Chinese ships repeatedly fired high-pressure water cannons at Philippine supply ships in the South China Sea, causing damage to the supply ships and significantly escalating tensions in the region. The U.S. Department of Defense has reaffirmed the U.S. defense commitment to the Philippines. The fifth piece of news is that the CCP and Japan accused each other of maritime incursions after a confrontation between their coast guards in waters around disputed islands in the East China Sea. The CCP's Coast Guard accused a Japanese fishing boat and several patrol vessels of intruding Diaoyu Islands, while Japan's Coast Guard said that on December 9th, 2 Chinese government ships entered Japan's territorial waters off the Senkaku Islands. From the above events that happened densely, it is clear that the CCP intends to provoke in the Taiwan Strait, the South China Sea, and the East China Sea. This does not look like a gesture seeking peace. Instead, it maintains an aggressive posture. I believe that the CCP is doing this to forcefully expand its own space in these areas while also squeezing out others. It is also testing the reactions of the United States and Japan. This information is necessary for future warfare. Of course, the CCP's economy is currently facing unprecedented difficulties, so many people are speculating whether the CCP still will abandon its plan to attack Taiwan as a result. This speculation has some merit. However, for a rogue regime like the CCP, we cannot measure it with normal thinking. Instead, the international community should be on alert and make preparations to counter the threat of a full-scale war with the CCP, so as not to be in a passive position or to endanger regional and self-safety. Well, that's all for today. If you find my content valuable, please support me by sharing my channel and videos. You might also want to visit my website at jenniferzengblog.com. jenniferzengblog.com to sign up for a membership or make a donation. I regularly post the scripts of my shows in the members-only area on my website. This is for those who prefer to save time by reading the script instead of watching the video. You can visit my website to enjoy this service. Thank you. See you next time.